Good morning, everyone. It is August 12th, 2025. It is the 9 a.m. Spokane County Board of Commissioners Board Briefing Session. Let the record reflect that all 5 commissioners are present. We do have Commissioner French on Zoom. It's a pretty busy morning, so we are going to go ahead and get started. So I assume we have Dr. Zing on Zoom.
Sorry about that. Yeah. Hi, good morning. I had a lid on my camera and I forgot. Good morning. So I'm here again. I hope this will be pretty quick. I think it will be. So I'm just here. We have another medical student, this time from Kansas City, Missouri, who is interested in becoming a forensic pathologist and would like to do a clinical rotation here in our office. And so I'm just here to ask for your blessing on establishing the affiliation agreement with her school so that she can come. She won't be coming until I believe it's February or March of 2026, but we wanted just to get everything set up because she's currently making her schedule for the coming year. So we wanted to get this in place so that she can be planning her curriculum for the coming year.
I think that's awesome, but how did she hear about us?
So she's actually friends with my cousin. Her mom is friends with my cousin's ex-sister-in-law. It's a very convoluted story, but basically because of family talk, and she was like, oh, that sounds like a great office. So she looked it up online and then determined that she wanted to come out here and have this experience.
I think that's exciting. As you know, we need more people in this field. So
we absolutely do. So I want to do everything I can to kind of bring people in. Absolutely.
Yes. No, that's great. Okay. Any other questions? No. Okay. I think, as long as legal approves it all, we're going to be good to move forward with it.
Perfect. Great. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Okay, that's going to take us to Ashley and Cal.
I'm really quick too.
Good morning. Good morning.
I am here to ask that the board allow the court to accept a grant from AOC. This funds one staff on my staff that works on trying to improve court processes, data specific to juvenile court. We've had this position since 2008. There's no match requirement. And so I would just ask that the board allow us to sign that contract.
And how much is it for?
89,000 total, which pays for fully funds the position and then leaves a little bit for retreat planning and those types of costs. So there's really no cost that is borne to the county. And legal has approved the contract as well.
Questions?
Have we done this before?
Yep, since 2008.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Stop now.
All right. Thanks all. Your turn.
Sandra.
Okay, good morning, everybody. So I wanted to come in this morning and provide you a progress report on the update to our natural hazard mitigation plan. The materials in your packet represent the new risk ranking for our primary hazards. And there has been a couple of changes from our prior planning. So the first change is that we removed volcano ashfall from the list of hazards. It was, kind of a holdover from Mount St. Helens, and we figured, it's so low, it scored, less than 1. So yeah, knock on wood. So we opted to remove that as one of our hazards, and then our wildfire hazard moved up from, it was previously 3.3 on its calculated score. It is now 3.75 as our leading hazard. And then also our earthquake hazard did also increase to 3.05 medium, up from 2.85. And that happened for both of those. The wildfire specifically has to do with the increase in our vulnerability as we continue to develop in the interface areas. Our vulnerability is going to continue to go up, and that's going to raise that score. The earthquake went up because we had some new data come out of our modeling that we did on the Latah Creek fault. So a little bit of change there, but some awareness with our building stock of unreinforced masonry that we have across the county is pretty vulnerable to that. So if you want to see the full narrative of the hazard profiles, that is also ready. It is 205 pages, which is why I didn't provide it to you right now. But if you would like to see it, I can certainly provide it to you. We have a presentation of the risk ranking scheduled for September 17th. That's one of our quarterly workshops. So you'll be seeing invitations to that coming out shortly. So any questions?
Who does the rankings?
So the rankings are, the process is managed by our contractor, but it's well defined in terms of we use historical data, we use current best science. So it's a whole combination of things, and all of that is explained in detail in the narrative itself.
And I'm sorry, you said that the fire risk went from what percentage?
The fire risk went up. It last iteration, it was 3.3. It is now 3.75.
So we do this annually or?
So the plan itself is done every 5 years, but we go in once a year and review the strategies.
So this is the 5-year.
Correct. This is the 5-year update of the plan.
What was the severe weather one again?
This is what its score is.
What would that look like?
Oh, so
Example
the severe weather is, blizzards, high wind events, ice storms, anything like that. We just kind of lump all of that together.
Okay, so what do you do with this information now?
So this information is the bulk of the hazard mitigation plan, which is a requirement under the Disaster Mitigation Act. And so the process itself is very closely defined by FEMA. So this is part of what we have to do. FEMA requires us to do this risk ranking. And then within our plan, based on our hazards of concern, we develop strategies. And so it's our office, it's the planning office, Public Works, the flood control district, they all have parts of the plan as well, and they're developing strategies for their parts of control.
So with the wildfire going up, what, half a point or whatever, so is that gonna change the mitigation effort? Or, I mean, essentially, you're gonna deliver the services the same way regardless of whether that adjusted? I mean, what is the scoring really, how does the scoring really change the overall plan, I guess?
So the scoring helps drive the priorities. So because our scoring on our wildfire risk is going up, we're doing more focused mitigation work specific to wildland fire. So that means we're doing more public outreach, we're doing more collaborative work with our partners like the Conservation District and the fire districts to help promote their programs. This also feeds into the applications for the Community Wildfire Defense Grants. They roll this information into their applications to justify those grants as well. So it's kind of it's used to justify a lot of different things.
Thank you.
So if we did want to look into the 200+ page document, do you have that available?
I do, I will
Okay.
send it to you.
I just was interested in maybe reading just that wildfire
Oh, sure.
section.
Yeah, and then so once the plan itself is finalized, there will be a 30-day public comment period as well.
Okay.
But I'll send it to you today.
Perfect.
As you work with the other partners on the mitigation plan piece, what are common strategies that fire districts are looking at mitigation wildfire risk?
So it's really about our challenge with wildfire is we don't have any regulation or ordinance in place that requires mitigation measures to be taken on private property. And so we lean really hard into public education and public outreach. All of our fire districts have wildfire personnel whose sole focus is this effort. And they're out daily in their communities doing property assessments, doing outreach, all of that. So that's, I'm currently sitting on the state work group for wildfire resilience. That was, came out of the legislature this last session. And, you know, so we'll see what that group is able to come up with, and we'll see what the state chooses to do with that, with the recommendations that we developed.
So that will, is that to give the legislature recommendations?
It's to give the legislature recommendations. Really, the primary focus on that is how do we bring transparency to the insurance agency? Because we have a lot of carriers who are either dropping people or increasing premiums to the point where people can't afford it. So how do we help manage that? And then how do we help homeowners and property owners do what they need to do to ensure that they can still have insurance?
Is there anybody who centrally tracks kind of the voluntary people voluntarily taking some of those measures versus not? And was anyone tracking the success rate of the public outreach and education?
Only, I think only if the folks are in an actual structured program like Firewise. I don't believe anybody is tracking like a per property effort across the county.
Is there a time frame on that work group?
I believe our final report is due to the legislature the end of the year. So I actually I'm going from here to that meeting, so.
Busy.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. I don't think Dustin, oh, there's Dustin is here.
Hey, oh,
Okay.
You signed over it.
Oh, no.
Yes, it is.
Morning,
Go ahead, have a seat.
Dustin Bonsgard, Sheriff's Office, Real-Time Crime Center. The issue before the county commissioners that I'm here to brief very briefly today is the memorandum of understanding between the county and a company called Insight LPR. LPR, an acronym for license plate reader. I know the commissioners are familiar with Flock Safety, a company that we are a customer of. Insight LPR is a competitor of Flock Safety. They offer similar services. This memorandum of understanding is not, so Spokane County and the Sheriff's Office is not a customer of Insight LPR, and even after signing the MOU, it will not be a customer. This came about through an arrangement. Real-Time Crime Center has partnerships with all of our public schools in the county. We've begun reaching out to private schools to initiate camera sharing and offering them services and connectivity with the Real-Time Crime Center. The St. George's School has purchased Insight LPR cameras from Insight LPR. And by virtue of that, anytime a private business purchases an Insight LPR camera in a particular law enforcement's jurisdiction, that company provides us with access to that data at no cost. So we're getting essentially free access to this data. The MOU is just the legal agreement that allows us to do that and have access to it. So there's no financial obligation as a result of this. We do anticipate that there will likely be other schools and other private businesses within the county that will be purchasing cameras from Insight, and this MOU will cover the sharing of all those new businesses and services that might add that contract. Any questions?
Thanks.
Right. Brief and easy.
You may have mentioned Dustin, no cost or cost.
No cost.
He didn't say that. It was paid attention. So no, I mean, obviously it's great and it's nice that they're willing to share that information, so that way if something were to happen. So, great.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's gonna take us to Under Sheriff Kevin Ritchie.
Good morning. Just have a
I just wanna let you know that, that we did a moment of silence yesterday morning, and that, I mean, just feel for everyone at the Sheriff's Department right now. It's a tough time for all of you and all of us here at the county.
yeah, it was a rough weekend.
So.
Done in a long time.
All right, the first is an award for some overtime funds to cover calling out drug recognition experts. We have a few of them in the agency. The Washington Traffic Safety Commission offers money every year for agencies to call out because we help other jurisdictions around the state. So the current award is for $3,000, but there's more money available if that runs out. Last year, I think we used about $15,000. So this is just an MOU to those funds. The next is which I didn't right order here. Yes, the Officer Wellness Grant. This is the Washington State Criminal Justice Training Commission Officer Wellness Grant. We received some funds last year as well to construct for some exercise equipment that was installed in the Valley Precinct. And this year they awarded us $28,000 to help us pay for the Sigma Tactical program that does the cardiovascular screening for our employees. So we got 28,000. I cannot remember what the cost of the Sigma Tactical is, but it's a little bit over that. But this will, I think, cover a little more than half of what our contract is for next year. Yeah.
I've heard nothing but good things from different people about that, so.
It's a great program. A lot of our people use it. I think it's given some advice to some people for their health that is probably going to be pretty beneficial. So.
Yes.
So this is just the request to accept those funds. The next I have the SRD contracts, school resource deputy contracts for September 2025 to June 2026. This year, the cost for a deputy has gone up. Half the actual salary and uniform in step 5 for a step 5 deputy, which is a mid-level deputy, which the school will be covering, is $51,526. The specialty pay is $3,375, and that's the SRD specialty pay that the districts pay 100% of. So that isn't the cost of the county. What I had about. Then also this year they're covering a third of the benefits, which is $15,813. Next year they will reach the threshold of half the benefits covered. Here a couple of years ago, if you remember, the board wanted to start including benefit coverage in there, and so it was a tiered approach. And so by next year they'll be covering half those benefits.
How much?
The benefit?
No, on the salary.
Salary, they are covering $51,526.
And that's up from.
And that's I cannot remember what it was last year, right? It was in the high 40s. But
Because we're doing the gradual increase.
yes.
Can
But
you repeat that? What did you ask, Madam Chair?
51,000 is what they're gonna cover in this contract.
that's just for salary and uniform. Then they also cover $3,375 in specialty pay, and they cover $15,813. I'm sorry, I'm looking at my briefing sheet and I just realized, and it's a total of $70,714, and that includes all of those costs in there.
It's on page 56 of our document. It's spelled out there.
I apologize. I have not been in the office for 3 days, and so I had at least email it to me, and so I'm going off my emails. Well, I usually print out all the documents, but the total is $70,714. And then one of the districts has 2 deputies, and the total cost for 2 deputies would be $141,427. And that includes all those things in there for 2 deputies.
And they can still be called away if there's an emergency where they have to leave the school or campus to report to something,
The needs of the community and the sheriff's office come first. So they are our employees, and the district understands that if there's an emergency, they'll be called away if needed.
Summer months, they're not there.
Summer months, they generally work patrol. Most of our SRDs right now are out on patrol shifts.
Is the 70,000, is that more than last year? It's kind of gradually moving to the districts.
Well,
Don't need more.
It's the benefit side is gradually moving, and as of next contract, they'll be covering half of the benefits. Before they were not covering any of the benefits, it was just salary. And so we've had a tiered approach over the last few years, and next year we'll reach our 50% goal. The cost has increased though because of pay raises. So they pay based on what our current step 5 deputy is. So this year it's obviously more than it was last year. So their costs have gone up because of contractual pay raises, and their costs have gone up because of increased covering of benefits.
Is the cost to us increasing? Or are they kind of covering the difference, the increase?
I mean, yes, it is increasing for the county because the cost of an FTE is increasing. So those costs have gone up as well.
But they're not 100% county, city or school district employees, so that's why. And when we started this, it was, I mean, there was only like 40,000 total.
Oh, yeah, because they weren't covering any benefits. They weren't covering any specialty pay.
So we've been over the last 4 years.
Since I took this position, I believe, and I'm gonna be wrong here, but I believe the cost of the county or the districts have gone up by at least $50,000 a year. So that's over the last 3 years.
So we've been trying to have them pay a little bit more, but we still want to make sure that there are employees, and that way the sheriff's office is, you know, able to monitor and have them all come together and talk and all of that.
And I know it's, you know, if you look at it as a total cost, it seems, you know, like they're getting a good deal, in my opinion. But remember the work that's generated in the school, you know, the deputies would have to go to anyway. And so if we didn't have a deputy assigned to that school, then it would be patrol. And so we are still covering, you know, even if we didn't have any SRDs, which would not be a good thing, but we would still be responding to crimes within the schools. And so by having a deputy in there, it's taking the burden off the rest of patrol. And the deputy, I was an SRD for a short time, so the deputy gets to interact with students and actually, you know, cuts down the amount of criminal activity, and there's relationship building with younger kids that is important, and hopefully has a lasting impact on the community with, you know, a positive influence of law enforcement at a young age. So there's a lot more benefits than just responding to criminal activity. And so I think it's fair that they pay their half, their fair share, but I think the value to the community for that officer is more than what you know, a deputy on the road would be.
Wait, just to follow, I think it's a very good program. All the benefits are clear. The school districts just have more revenue options than we do financially. So when you say pay half, you're referring to the benefits, right?
And salary.
Okay, so is that kind of where we're going towards?
They currently pay half the salary, and they have paid half the salary for a while.
We're moving up the benefits.
The benefit side, they were paying nothing for, and so I think it was 3 years ago, correct me if I'm wrong, we added the benefit component, but they were, you know, it was at the time of their contract renewal, and they were, you know, I met with all the districts and they were all like, oh, you know, we did budget for this year. And so we agreed to a tiered approach where every year we'd increase it. And next year we'll be at our goal where they'll cover 50%.
Great, that's good. I missed the part about the salaries, so thank you. That's good.
And I will say after, and then I'll go to Commissioner French, after I became commissioner just literally a month after the Freeman shooting.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Freeman and Spangle School District, Liberty School Districts shared a resource officer, and just happened that the resource officer was there because Liberty School District couldn't afford it. So they found in their budget how to afford their own, to have it, you know, have them be separate, but we also had to work with the sheriff's office to have another deputy that would be available to do that too. So I mean, it's a true working together to make these things happen. And important. And then I think Commissioner French worked hard to get one out at
9 Mile, yeah, in Stevens County.
Yeah. So Commissioner French. Commissioner French, if you're trying to speak, you're muted.
Is that any better?
That's perfect.
Great, thank you. The 9 Mile school district is shared between Stevens County and Spokane County. And so Wes McCart, who is previous commissioner in Stevens County, and I and Sheriff Knezovich and the sheriff for Stevens County and school district worked out an agreement where that is a three-way partnership between Stevens County, Spokane County, and the school district and stuff. So that one's the only one that I'm aware of that's unusual. Otherwise, it's just a two-way agreement between the county, the sheriff's office, and the school district and stuff. So just wanted to provide some clarity and history with regard to that relationship.
Thank you. And I don't think I see that one on our list.
That one does not come through our office because we don't have a deputy assigned to that. I think it's processed through Stevens County.
Okay. Okay.
That's correct.
Very good. And so yeah, which is again, really important for that school district that has students from all those areas. So thank you for reminding us, Commissioner French.
Mhm.
Okay. And do we have all, I think we got them all, because I think last time we had one like.
We missed two. Yeah, we missed two. We do have them all. They've all received their contracts this year, and not all of them have signed yet.
Okay,
Those trickle in.
sounds good.
All right, the next thing I have is, this is a no cost to the county. This is the Washington State Parks and Rec Marine Law Enforcement Patrol, or I'm sorry, this is an award from the Washington State Parks and Recreation. It's for $40,642. It's purchased 2 personal watercrafts and a trailer for the Marine Patrol Division. It's state funds passed down from the U.S. Coast Guards, and like I said, it's no cost to the county. It's for them to go out and purchase 2 watercraft that they need for patrolling the lakes.
Is that gonna be enough?
Yeah, there's no match or anything like that. I think they have I remember right here, there's a quote on here.
I know you guys have been wanting, it's been on your capital list for a long
Yes.
time.
This is not a boat. These are personal watercraft, which I guess commonly referred to as jet skis. So
Okay,
much smaller,
A very personal.
very personal. And they've wanted these for a long time too.
Okay.
This will be like I said, no cost to the county.
okay, that's why it's
Yeah.
not as expensive as I
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like,
No.
no, that's a very inexpensive boat.
I think the boat that they're looking at is more in the $180,000.
Yeah.
It's-
That's what I was thinking. Well, this is a great way to at least get this
Yeah.
taken care of. So. Any other questions?
Good to get a grant. Awesome job.
That's all I have.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you, Kevin. Appreciate all you're doing.
And I should have more information on that for you today.
Okay. Kevin will keep us informed on any.
Changes in the memorial. and that kind of stuff.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Bellis.
Okay.
Good morning.
Hey, Bells, I'm Sheriff of Spokane County and Police Chief of Spokane Valley. Here before you for consideration of to a contract with a software firm named Camp. Camp is a maintenance tracking program for aviation. As you know, all parts, hundreds of them are tracked by different lifespans, so by hours, by calendar years, that kind of stuff. It's important that we be able to track our software, our parts, make sure they're safe, and also automatically updates any FAA airworthiness directives, and allows all of our aircraft to be on it. This has been reviewed by county legal. They see very low legal risk on it, and this will be absorbed in the state budget. Any questions?
Questions for Dave? I don't think so. We're just gonna fly through this morning.
Sounds good.
So. Yeah, I mean, aviation stuff has a whole different set of standards that you have to follow, so.
Yeah, this will allow us to be able to track everything, and establish program and anytime any ADs come up, they immediately know. Thank you.
Okay, so we're way ahead of schedule. Who do we have up next? There's Chris. Yes.
Yeah.
I was thinking they'd be here timely at a time.
Always. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, we're just, this should be pretty slick, pretty easy. This is the amendment to our contract with the State Department of Veterans Affairs for our Enterprise Veterans Case Management System. It's basically the case management system we've been using since 2019. The bonus of it is that everyone who's in it, the whole state. So it's the same system the state uses, the same system a lot of the other county veteran service officers across the state are using. So it helps us, if a veteran moves into our area, we've got all of the history of this veteran from before, which is really, really nice. It's a little bit weird because the contract says it goes up to $100,000, but historically, the amount we have paid the State Department of Veterans Affairs is
$6,618, I believe, this last year. And that's for 12 user licenses for us.
the reason they put that 100,000 mark on there is if we ever ask for any enhancements or any additional licenses. Right now, we only carry 12. 12, so that all of our team has a license to be able to get in and use the system. We've never used more than that, and I don't anticipate that either. So it's really just another 6,000.
Yep, each year.
Each year, so, and we tried to extend it by a 2-year period this time because it's kind of tedious to have to come bother you about it all the time, so.
You obviously have that in your budget, I should say.
Oh, yes, yes, it is in our budget. It's a renewal, yeah, it's just yeah.
Every 2 years. So this one goes out to 2027, June 2027.
Makes sense.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I guess it's gonna be on your consent agenda this afternoon, so. Or is it this afternoon or next week, Tuesday afternoon?
My guess would be next.
Okay, all right, now you know what's there. All right, thank you, you guys have a good day.
See you. Okay, thank you. Always fun to see you.
You too.
Hey, Joshua. Good morning.
Good morning. So I'm filling in for Tim today to discuss the Blake Award for July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. This is the 5th consecutive contract that we've received from the state. Quick review of Blake in general. This is for possession of controlled substance cases. To date, we have reviewed 3,452 cases, which have incorporated $848,000 in refunds to defendants. For county work, we have reimbursed the county $192,000 so far. These cases in general incorporate a scope that can range from Blake only scenarios where it's just the PCS charges to Blake plus, where there are the PCS charges plus an additional charge that survives on the case. Funding from the state is also broken up into 2 separate categories, one of which is refunded directly to defendants, and then the second of which is the refunds for the county and the work that's conducted here for both the legal and administrative process. That's the portion that this particular contract is going to incorporate. As you know, the state budget cuts have impacted the majority of awards from the state, and Blake is no different. As just to kind of put things in perspective, the biennium budget that we were working with the prior contract incorporated $50 million for the biennium. That has been reduced to 7. So $3.5 million that has to be split up 39 different ways across all the counties. So much smaller budgets in general. Our award of $66,592 for this current contract is a little tight but manageable for several reasons. First of which is the cost efficiency of the clerk's office, get it done quickly, if you don't incur additional expense. And the second item is adaptability. Them actually encouraged improvement in adaptation ahead of time so that we'd be prepared for any adjustments that could be made by the state. And that's going to be and prove to be quite helpful in the upcoming year. Questions?
What was last year's amount
3.1 million
for the county?
and
And 66,000.
66,000.
Okay.
It's an interesting element because the scope of what could be reimbursed is actually quite large, because it incorporates judicial, defense, as well as the administrative office or the administrative elements incorporated by the clerks. In here in Spokane County, the process for Blake is dependent upon the defendant initiating the action. So they kind of put or have been putting the big pot of money out there. And if a county gets everything complete rather quickly, the money is there to have been reimbursement. Now they're kind of taking it on a year by year basis based off of trends.
Is the pace of the work slowing down?
That is a great question, and I think it's also a tricky question because of the nature of how the cases actually work and defendants having to come forward to kind of self-identify as someone who is and can be impacted by this is based off of a lot of different elements, including events that we're now seeing from groups that are helping bring that element to them, as well as campaigning with those pieces in it. We had it incorporated recently in a mass assistance day here at Spokane County. But by the time that we get it, the judicial piece is already complete. So our piece stays rather consistent from beginning to end. I can work on anywhere between 30 to over 100 cases in 1 week to initiate that research review and financial element of it to then conduct and transmit that information to the state for the refunds.
It's part of seeing that the state's gonna continue to keep funding, funding on a lot of these projects.
That has been very interesting. It also has us very aware that there's no guarantee that we're going to have or what future contracts will look like. So we've the adaptation piece that we've put into the clerk's piece of it is more mechanized and more efficient than ever before, because we are looking to try to complete everything and anything that might be in our queue and have it complete by 2020, then 2026 contract. But again, we don't have a queue until it finishes with the legal elements. So that constantly refreshes.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Any other questions?
Of course.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Okay, let's continue. Tori. Morning. Okay, so I'm here today to brief on 3 different contracts, 2 contracts and 1 provider agreement. The provider agreement is under our HCA work. And so we're required to have an agreement with all the MCOs. So this is our 4th one, which is with Coordinated Care Corporation, just allowing us to bill Medicaid services in detention. This is the 4th one. The other 3 you guys have signed off already. Any questions on that one? Okay, the next one is our CASA contract. It's our court appointed special advocates in our dependency unit. That's 3 of our staff. This grant is for $291,324. Actually, we over budgeted on that due to the increase in staff salary, so we'll hope for some revenue sharing at the end of the year. We'll pay close attention to where we are revenue sharing for this last fiscal year. That next year. And so that's on the CASA one, correct? And how much is that? Sorry. It's $291,324.
And then the next one is our Becca contract. That is to serve, now we're down to serving our at-risk youth. It's, as you all recall, truancy is out of this services provided under this contract now. And the total now is 425,253. And funds 50% of our court commissioner, 40% of court coordinator, and 2 case managers for our at-risk youth tunes. And a little bit of money for some family services left in that contract.
On the CASA, is that just by county?
But how
According
those
to
funds,
case numbers, yeah.
yeah, it's based on filings. So 3 years of filings. Drop off 1 year and then add.
And are we pretty consistent right now, year to year with rent filings?
We have consistently been one of the top 2 filings in
Still the
state.
case.
Yes. Much in all of our civil matters, matter of fact, in our criminal matters as well.
And then what's the status of volunteer recruitment?
We're holding steady on that. We're down to about 120. And that's what these 3 staff do, is oversee those volunteers.
Is 120 pretty, what's kind of been the peak of volunteers, just for?
150.
Okay. Good, not too bad.
Not too bad.
Like always
It's
like to
getting
be
harder.
higher.
Yeah, it's getting harder to recruit. The needs are extensive and they're hard cases to manage. It's hard stuff to see. The staff there do a really good job on recruiting and retaining volunteers is critical, and that can be difficult. We put in a lot of work to keep those volunteers.
Seems like a lot of your CASA volunteers have been long-term volunteering ground.
We signed their certificate, I signed their certificate of appreciation along with the judge, and it's fun to see 30 years, 25 years, 20 years. Yeah, we send special notes to those significant time.
Do they still have is it like CASA Partners or whatever the outside group is that still active?
Selling funds. But that goes more directly to the kids.
Yeah.
Any other questions on any of these?
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for the time today. We're going to have Jamie Hayes, who does a lot of our transportation planning and grant applications, walk us through our Surface Transportation Block Grant Awards, we call them STBG Awards, for this 2025 year.
So if you're not familiar with STBG, it's a federal funding program through MHWA designed to provide flexible funding for transportation projects. It's a federally pass-through project down to Washington State, and then it's managed by SRTC. So the applications come through SRTCs and the award comes through SRTC. Spring of 2025, they applied for 12 total projects. We were awarded 4 of 12 projects, which a 30% success rate is what I'm pretty happy with. I wanted to let you guys know I made an error. I was working on another project that had 80% funding. This is an 86.5% funding. So that's a 13.5% match. But the award total is just over $5.5 million for our 4 projects. We have a intersection project, 2 preservation projects, and a road realignment project. And we'll start with the Harvard Road Roundabout. So this is a spot location because it's an intersection, and it's to address basically poor east-west level of service on Harvard and Euclid Road. And this is, a pretty cool project because it's a safety project as well as a way to get goods and people efficiently through this route. And it's a long corridor, it's a NHS corridor, it's a freight corridor, and provides access to SR 50 or SR 206, which is Trent, and I-90. This corridor has received almost $8 million in awards since 2021. So this intersection project is kind of gonna button up this corridor.
And I might just add in on this one too, we're aware of Inland Paper has some property southwest of this intersection, a large project that they're coming in on. So it's very timely, both the Harvard Road improvements and the Euclid roundabout will be very well timed. Development pays for its impacts and does traffic studies, but it never gets fully mitigated. And it's rare that we're ahead of a development with it. It's just fortunate timing, but we're happy about that.
And does this wrap up most of the work then out there?
Yeah, this will be kind of what we're doing for a while, Harvard. Ultimately, we're starting down the path of doing a great separated interchange of railroad tracks, but those are long-term projects. I mean, to secure all the funding to do that's likely a 5 to 10 year horizon for us. We're just stepping into we've applied for planning dollars at this.
Yeah. Just since I get citizens contacting us about this, because we did some work last year, 2 years ago. Yeah, so and then this will finish the rest of that.
Yeah.
Okay, just.
Yeah, and getting the roundabout on top of it is just a really nice
Yeah,
stroke.
no, that's gonna be great. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. You have a great team that works really hard on it. And I'm sure you're familiar with the area, but I always like to show you guys a map to let you know exactly where it's at. So it's in basically east central Spokane County above Lickby Lake. Construction schedule for 2027. The total project is about $1.5 million. We were funded $484,000 for this project. We're actively working on getting the rest of it funded, and we're pretty sure that we have secure funding for the rest of it through a different grantor at 0% match, which just makes it that much sweeter.
As we improve this, and I know Josh used to get calls all the time on Wellesley as well. I mean, it's like, that's gonna be the other road that we're gonna have to really. Yeah.
Yeah, we're starting to look hard at that western portion from the Wellesley Trent interchange past the school, basically on that portion of Wellesley, because it's getting really bad. I mean, we've kicked the can about as far as we want to, so we're gonna start trying to put a project together on that. They just don't score well because of the rural zoning and the lack of density. It's a challenge to find that, but it's time.
Yeah.
We're gonna start working on that portion.
Well, and I think as we make these improvements and, as we look at a grade separation, and it's just gonna get busier. In that east-west connection, so. As Josh used to get those complaints prior to me. So, thank you.
The next project is a preservation project located on the West Plains of Spokane County. This is for Arrow Road. This is almost a mile of improvement spanning from Westbow to Thomas Malin, and it's a 2-inch grind in lay. We'll work on filling in sidewalk gaps and ADA improvements as well with this project. And this is just south of south of I-90 is basically a good way to describe that, and kind of south of the West Plains. Or in the West Plains, south of Airway Heights and Fairchild. It's a better way to describe it. Next slide, please. Construction for this project is in 2028. The project total is about $1.8 million, and we received maximum funding at $1,350,000. The next project is in North Spokane County on Staley Road. If you're familiar with that area, this is a main east-west transportation route for people that live in north of Spokane and south of Deer Park, providing access to 395 and US 2. So it's a pretty important road. It's in pretty poor condition with cracking and veiling edges. And this project is an overlay project to overlay the existing 20-foot width and kind of improve the 1-inch or the 1-foot gravel shoulders. We're going to level those and kind of bring them up to where they need to be.
One thing I might add on to this project too is if you go west on Staley from 395, it ties into Swinson, which drops down into Suncrest, and that cut through route is getting more and more traffic all the time as Suncrest continues to develop and has more services that draw people. We're seeing a lot more traffic on this portion of Staley than we ever saw historically, and a lot of freight traffic too cutting over. So it's It's very timely. It's a long road. Again, all of our roads seem like they're long, but we will start chunking this into projects and doing maintenance overlays like we did on Elk Chatterway in combination with capital projects to kind of bring that together and get the whole road.
This is from Dalton to US 395, and then, just like Matt was saying, we've received funding from CRAB, from the Rural Arterial Board program, to do a different section of this road too, so we're putting it together. And you can see way up top, just below the description, the project description, that's where Stately's located. And also scheduled for construction in 2028. This is a $1.5 million project. Once again, we received the maximum amount that these types of projects can receive at $1.3 million. And then our last project is the Craig Road realignment. This is a realignment, road reconstruction and safety project to improve an offset intersection on a busy rural road. Reduces conflict points for drivers, improves traffic flow and safety on a rural road. The ADT on Craig Road is over 7,000, which is, pretty decent for a rural road. And it's a T3 truck route, and it was recently designated by SRTC as a Tier 2 CMP corridor, meaning that is a congestion management corridor. And it kind of makes sense because it's a north-south route, access to US 2, 902, Meadow Lake, Fairchild, back way to the airport, city of Spokane, so it gets a lot of traffic on there. And this project will realign the intersection and reconstruct the existing 24-foot width to a 36-foot width with 2 12-inch lanes and 6-foot shoulders. And once again, another West Plains project.
We're happy to have this one come together. I think everybody was aware we got the right away from the airport, which was helpful. It took a long time to get. FAA just takes some time when you're trying to acquire right of way, which is good. But we'll be happy to have that one done. The plans have been on the shelf for a while now. It was good to get the funding for that one. It was good.
Yeah, so construction for this project is in 2027. It's a $2.6 million project. We're awarded $2.3 million for this. And yeah, what kind of questions do you guys have?
I just want to make a comment, yay on the maintenance, granite inlays, because while it's not as evident with big flashy new stuff, we need it. And so knowing those dollars are hard to come by and hard to get awarded, great job on getting those. Much
Yeah,
needed.
we're pretty excited.
There was an interesting development this week. The asphalt plant operators went on strike. I don't know if that's shown up on all your radars, but that you can imagine. I mean, we're in the heart of construction.
I was wondering why there was some stop work in a couple projects
And
in
now
my neighborhood.
I'm hearing some plants coming back online. There was, I believe Poe was non-union, so they were operating in Shamrock is I think coming back. But I mean, even a scheduling perspective, everybody's scheduled out for the entire construction season, and our overlay crews are scheduled the entire construction season. And any pause on that has a lot of ramifications. So that was just an interesting development. I've never seen them go on strike historically. It was an interesting thing. We'll have to see how everybody navigates that, but just for your awareness.
Yeah. And I would just say, any chat on state of county, just to make sure that I've got a list of kind of what's significant, highlighted in Bigelow. I know it's finished, so we want to just highlight significant progress in projects that we've had completed and a couple of the key projects that are looking forward to.
Yeah, very great working with Mark to get those projects to you so that you have kind of our list and also get some pictures for your presentation if you'd like.
Great. Thank you. So make sure we're highlighting all the good things that are being done.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
You have the great work.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And with that, if you don't have any other questions, I will be seeing you guys soon for another meeting.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Okay, have one more. This is kind of a short item. It's a license agreement. I believe Ron has the slide. Just one slide. You can see that's the county campus there. That red section is what we're talking about putting the license agreement on. It's to Fat Bean. It's a fiber provider, and they're going to be going on poles, Avista poles in that area. And the license is a little bit more flexible for us. They have some termination clauses and things that are beneficial to the county compared to a perpetual easement type agreement. And it's primarily to serve juvenile court and HR, it's my understanding, and we're running it because we do license agreements all the time for right of ways. That's our only connection to it. So I hope you don't have any questions, because that's kind of what I meant.
I can think of some.
I was gonna say, so my question is like, so we already choose to go through the contracting process, and we contracted with them to do this, and then we're having license agreement, see Deborah Perkins coming up to answer questions for us.
Our ISD partners are actually the ones who contracted with them in order to, it's to run the backbone for being able to get the pump stations working. And now POP, I think that's what they're calling it. It's in order to be able to do the telecommunications for our sewer plants that we have, so that we can talk to them from here and get them to pump elsewhere. And they're changing the telecommunications company that they're utilizing right now. And so in order to get this new telecommunications company to be able to service that, they had to get this agreement to run on these poles to be able to get into our ISD building with that telecommunications. And that's why I had to get this license agreement moving for them. That answer your question, I hope?
Well, that makes sense, that, you know, because that's the IT building, so, okay. Any other questions? No, you are good to go. Thank you very much. Okay, Preston, I see you're there. How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
I don't have anything really detailed. This is, I guess what we have before the board, we have two grants that we have traditionally received. One is our NCHIP grant, which is a National Criminal History grant that pays for our criminal history specialist. We're able to pay for that position full-time under that grant. Then we also have our Victim Witness Award from, I believe it's through Commerce, which pays $59,029 of a victim witness position. And so we have that allocated within our victim witness unit that helps offset some of our local costs. So this is different than our Fund 133 offset that we use for victim witness. So these are grants that we've had for many years. We've been blessed to continually have them renewed. And so I'm just here before the board asking that you kindly accept them so that we can take these on and continue to use them in the next fiscal year. That's about all I have to say about it, unless you want details as to how they're used, but it's specifically for those two people. And with that victim witness one, we'll either have it 100% on a single person or offset it across, we've got 9 different victim advocates, so. All I got. So, thank you.
Appreciate it.
So if there are no questions, I will go ahead and leave you in Matt's hands. I saw. Oh. How weird.
Everybody's. Those.
That's an email this morning.
Oh, this is on the presentation.
Yeah, she sent us a slideshow.
Okay, sure.
The heart.
Oh.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning. We're just getting that presentation up, so.
Morning, everybody. This is a request by Lakeside Realty to modify the conditions of the quitclaim deed that the county previously sold to Tampion Enterprises back in 2020. Just some background on the project. This was a piece of property that the county declared surplus property. And as part of the deed that was sold, the county placed a phasing requirement on it. This phasing requirement required that the developer, whoever it being at the time, develop 20% commercial on each phase of development. Approximately 6-ish days after Ford sold to Tampion Enterprises, Tampion Enterprises then sold the property via special warranty deed to Lakeside Real Estate, who is with me presently. Back in December of 2024, they came before the board to informally speak to you about a potential alteration of the deed language, making it them able to essentially front load the commercial development on top of the residential development. And here today to speak about that is I have Melissa Wells from Lakeside Realty, sorry, Real Estate, my apologies. And unless the board has any questions for me, I'm happy to turn it over for her presentation.
Okay, thank you. Again, I'm Melissa Wells with the Lakeside Companies, and you might remember we were here with you about a year ago and to talk about this project, and during that time, you guys had a lot of great feedback and recommendations, just some really good insight, and we're so excited to come back to talk to you today about the update and the vision of our project, and then also discuss the language that we put together for the deed restriction amendment. So starting out here on this first slide, you'll see this is the overall proposed plan for our community. Again, it's called the North Quarter. As a reminder, this project, it sits just north of Farwell. So you can see at the bottom, we're Farwell Street, and then we're to the west of North Addison. The site covers a little over 42 acres. Originally, we had purchased 40 acres, and then we picked up 2+ additional acres, so making it that 42 acres. The key things here are the community was really designed to bring everyone and everything together in one connected community. Starting at the top and moving downward, you'll see we feature affordable for-sale townhomes. We show senior living cottages, assisted living. We have a neighborhood storage facility located at the top upper right-hand portion. Vibrant gathering spaces. We have walking trails, curated amenities, and we've incorporated really thoughtful retail in the lower portion of the project. Over the next few slides, I'll dig into a few more details in the community. We were going to have our colleague Valerie talk to you about the assisted living, but it sounds like we want to just have me present, so I'll wing through some of it here, but let's go to the next slide and we'll talk about the commercial spaces. So if you look at the perimeter of the property highlighted in red, you'll see that our commercial development, it's strategically located around the perimeter of the property. We wanted to make sure it was easily accessible to the entire community. In the southern portion, the lower part, you'll see that we're featuring mixed use buildings. On the west side, we have our assisted living community. And then at the north end, we've incorporated a neighborhood storage facility. And with the developments that we've done, we found that residents really love having convenient storage located right within the community, whether it's their recreational gear or maybe their seasonal items they want to store, just general household overflow. But it's been a nice amenity to have within the community. The other key point is that in total, our commercial space covers over 10.15 acres, and that's well above our deed restriction requirement, which is now just a little over 7 acres. On the next slide, we have showed just a sample of what a mixed use building could look like. Again, what we're showing is the vibrant retail on the bottom. Think restaurants, cafes, boutiques and whatnot, parking, all available for the community, while the upper 2 floors of the building would be a residential. So we'd have living units above. That's just one sample of those. We go to the next slide. We wanted to really discuss the open space. Our plan includes over 13.5 acres, which is 31.5% of the entire site. And that would be inclusive of things like amenity areas. It's going to include the grassy swales, the natural and buffer zones. And again, the key point here is that we're well over that 10% requirement, being at that 31.5%. But we wanted to dig in a little bit deeper on the next slide. If you'll advance here, this shows, if you look at the purple areas, this is our active open space. And these are all the places that we designed in the community to bring people together to gather. So we have walking paths that folks can get out, take their morning strolls, sport courts, grab a quick game. There's a dog park featured, play park for the kids. Just a lot of outdoor gathering spots that are really perfect to connect the community and all the neighbors. And they're all here for all residents of the North Quarter to enjoy day in and day out. So we talked about, we'll advance to the next slide. We talked about the mixed use buildings at the bottom, but on the right side of the property, we showed the Hemmingson Senior Living, the assisted living that Valerie and her team have created. It's just an exceptional medical care that we would be bringing to the community, where there's multiple levels of care, including memory care, that are included in this assisted living concept. You can see from the image, just really beautiful residential looking type homes. So it's very welcoming. They're single story. There's 5 buildings that would be on this property that have 18 residents in each building. And let's see here. I think we can advance to the next slide. Okay, in addition to the assisted living facility, just down the hill from where the assisted living, we would have senior cottages. And these cottages are duplex style homes that have, as you can see, we have 3 different layouts, different looks and feels. There's a farmhouse look, a mountain cottage, a craftsman style home, where the folks that live in these facilities aren't quite ready to go to the assisted living yet, but maybe they have family that they want nearby, or they know, gosh, down the road, I might be at that point where I'm ready to have that level of care, but I could have a little bit of use. So they're going to still offer wellness checks to these residents. There'll be dining services, housekeeping and whatnot. That's all available to folks that live in the senior cottages. Go to the next slide here, and this talks about our community center, which is going to be called The Retreat. And really, again, just an amazing place to gather and connect, where everyone in the community can come in to build relationships. We're toying with, it's definitely a facility that will be used for the senior cottages and the assisted living, and we're exploring ways that perhaps the remainder of the community can use it as well. But wanted to show that this particular facility is going to have a billiards room, a library, a lounge, and all kinds of places to bring the community together. Okay, we'll move on to the next slide here. We wanted to show a sample of what our residential townhomes would look like. There'll be a variety of townhome products throughout the project. This is just one example. Again, we will make sure that there's walking paths that connect everyone. So wherever you're at in the community on these townhomes,
you can get down to our amenity areas. Then finally, that gives the flavor for the overall community, but we did need to visit about a request we have for a deed restriction amendment. We included, I believe in your package, you have all of the details. The first part of the amendment, you'll see that it simply updates the ownership. As Colin alluded to, when we first had this deed restriction in place, it was with Tampion Enterprises. And since we purchased the property, the deed restriction now incorporates our entity that we own the property in. And then the second part of the language, all the updates, we bought 40 acres. And so they're calling that now property A. And then we purchased 2 additional acres, which was B, bringing it together to property C, which is basically all 42. But in a nutshell, all we're saying is that this deed restriction will encumber the entire property, the entire 42 acres for us and for their successors of the property. But then the meat of the language, if we go to the next slide, we're simply asking for flexibility to front load our commercial and open space requirements. So instead of including commercial in every phase, we want the ability to build it early and in the most strategic locations that are going to really make for a successful community. But the language, it's really important to know, it's been set up so that we're fully compliant with all of our requirements all throughout development, and we never drop below our minimums. And well, so we meet our requirements, but definitely maintain the best and most effective design and way to build out the community. I know I just covered a lot of information very quickly, but I know we were on a tight timeline, so definitely open it up for questions. Questions?
Commissioner French?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. So from a historical perspective, when we were looking at selling the old Corral property, I think it was my request that we look at trying to garner something out of the property that would be more than just a transaction, but actually an effort to develop a community, develop retail opportunities, to develop business opportunities, as well as housing. And as an architect with over 20 years experience in senior housing and development, I just want to compliment you. This is a really Class A project. Your team is to really be congratulated. You hit all the bells and whistles that I see in contemporary senior developments, and the mix, I think, is an ideal mix. I hope the market supports it, because this is the kind of project that I think Spokane market is ready for. And so I fully support the request, and quite frankly, the nature of the request accelerates what we were hoping to try and achieve with regard to retail development and that business opportunity. They're not asking to reduce it, they're actually asking to accelerate it and stuff. So I personally can't see any reason to deny the request. And just once again, what an excellent project. I'm excited to see it completed, and maybe I'll end up being one of your customers. I know others would like to think it's going to be more of the funeral home, but I'm optimistic. Anyway, just nice job. Nice job.
Yeah.
So my comments were is that when we did this back in 18.
I think 19 is when we, or no, first part of 20, I think, is when we sold Tampion Enterprise. I think it was like March of 2020.
It was March 24th, 2020.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or something else that was happening about that time. We weren't sure if it was going to go through. It's like,
you know, I think my recollection is we were trying to have some more retail income producing property for the county rather than just housing. So even though it's, I don't see how the storage is more providing that, income producing for, sales tax revenue. Was part of what we were looking for is how do we have this property, but then also look at what are sales tax revenue generators that can provide us income off the property that we're surplusing and selling. So I'm not seeing a lot of that, I guess, on this property. So that's, one question I have. And the other question I have is that, when we sold it with the deed restrictions, if we hadn't had deed restrictions, then would this property have sold for more? So, I mean, I don't know. So those are just some of the questions I have in what to me, what the initial thoughts were. Commissioner French and I may disagree on that, but what they were versus what I'm seeing here. And when I look at slide 4, that the retail seems pretty small, as to what you're looking at. And then have you done that before? Because then people living right above that don't necessarily always like that. So
I think mixed use buildings, obviously it's very personal, but some people couldn't love it more. The ability to walk down out of your building and come down and have a cup of coffee or go to the bakery. I know that I personally lived in places like that and love it. So it's not for everybody. We did show one building, one example, but if you go back to the original slide, if you want to look at the layout, there's locations for 2 large mixed use buildings that would have the retail below. I think that the combination of those 2 buildings, plus we have the neighborhood storage, and then, really with the commercial setting of the assisted living facilities, I think that there's we bring a full complement of services too. And I think that particularly given how the neighborhood is tucked up the hill and whatnot, it's a pretty ample amount of retail that we would have in those 2 buildings to be viable in that area. So I feel that we were able to bring all of those components to it.
any other questions of Mr. French? Commissioner French, you're muted.
Well, that was a great comment. I just wanted to point out that mixed use housing is something that we actively support and promote in our comp plan and in our development regulations, and that from what we were trying to avoid early on was having more apartments without any retail, without any kind of business activity, because that's exactly what is across the street. And we wanted to try and promote some other business, and that's what this plan does. The idea of having storage on a retirement community property is absolutely the right thing to do. It makes the living space for the seniors much more consolidated without having to give up ownership of a lot of activities, whether it's athletic activities or other personal items that have value to the residents and stuff. So, this kind of product in any other market would be a home run, and I'm hoping that it's a home run here as well. Thank you.
Guys, which of the units that you went through, which are the ones that would be owner occupied as opposed to someone just renting one of the units?
So when we met last time, we discussed, and the owner of the company was here as well. So the townhome products, our intention is to have those all for sale product.
Okay. Okay, but the cottages would not be.
So they have they are I'm trying to think of what's the way to say that it's not a purchase, it's a purchase lease. A purchase lease, right? So typically you buy into one of those and then you're able to get a portion of your money back as you perhaps go on to other types of products. That'd be a fair way to say it.
So it's similar to like a Rockwood.
Correct. Yes. Yes.
And a lot of the retirement communities in the Spokane market are that way. They either sell life estates or or reversionary programs and stuff, so that as a resident moves on, there's residual value for the family.
Thanks for the information. What's the total number of like units or residents that might be kind of forecasted, just out of curiosity?
Here, Abe, can you tell the number count? I don't have that right here in front of me.
So there's 142 duplexes and townhomes for sale.
Yeah, so assisted living would be a maximum of 88 beds and the senior cottages would be 46 units on the site.
Kind of on this side.
Yeah, there's a key.
Slide 6.
And so just to make sure I'm following, so the deed restriction resulted in about 7 acres of required commercial area. And you're saying that the plan has 10,
Little over 10.
Little over 10. And then it previously, or it currently requires in each phase of the project, and so you're thinking maybe building out the commercial pieces earlier.
We do.
So it's construction timelines.
Correct. So as we
Proposal
build,
would still have the same requirement for the overall process.
yes, the amount does not change. It just simply allows us to do it early. So the way the deed restriction is currently written, say we did it all early and then later we had a phase that just maybe had residential, that would not have been allowed. And we feel that, you know, in the back part of the community and the upper slope where we have townhomes, that wouldn't really be a great place to put commercial. So our goal would be to build it up front in the places where we talked about, where it's more accessible to the community. But again, that would just mean we need to modify the language to allow us to do it early. Questions?
Commissioner French?
Well, I mean, just to provide some direction here, I'd like to recommend that we direct our civil attorney to work with their legal counsel to draft up the revisions as presented to the deed restriction and bring it forth for board consideration.
Will do. Can I ask about, so commercial and the assisted living, is that it's more of a zoning issue? Is assisted living traditionally classified as commercial? Like, I'm just not familiar with that, like, so.
It would be classified as commercial for the services rendered for residents that are paying to live there. There are services that are offered to them, so.
Okay.
Correct.
And I'm fine with.
Yeah,
doing
I'm
good
fine
work
with
To bring it forward. I have more questions that I'll be asking like our treasurer and all of that, so.
Madam Chair, Mr. Maceo, the deed has been prepared, as Commissioner French alluded to. Did you want us to have your name on it or all board name on it? Because we're modifying the quick claim deed. We wanted to be sure we knew what you preferred.
I would prefer all board members.
Okay, and we'll do that. That was a question we had, but it's all ready to go and we would propose to place it on next Tuesday's legislative consent agenda for formal action by the Board of County Commissioners.
I would ask for 2 weeks.
Okay.
And that way I can make sure I get my questions answered.
That's fine, Madam Chair. We'll take care of that. But the document is all ready to go and legal counsel has reviewed it very closely. We've also worked closely with Deborah Firkins to ensure that the consideration paid does not need to change because all we're doing is changing their ability to meet the same standards, but earlier, but meet the same percentages as they originally agreed to.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's do Scott Chesney.
Commissioners. We have before you a development agreement related to a comp plan amendment from 2024. This is in Spangle, in our southern part of our county. The request was, you can see the map on the screen. It's on the northern edge of the city of Spangle. It's taking acreage out of a rural classification, but within their urban growth area, converted or asking to be converted to regional commercial. The comp plan amendment went through the normal process, planning commission hearings, and you agreed to support the planning commission's recommendations with the caveat of a successful development agreement between the property owner and the county. That development agreement has several components. None is controversial, but what it does is restricts the property owner from the full range of uses allowed in the regional commercial zone. And they've agreed to abide by the community commercial, which has less intense activity. And that is a little more compatible with the city of Spangle. And that is also that less intense activity reflects the fact that even though this is in an urban growth area, it cannot be hooked up to current city water and sewer because the city is deficient. They have capacity issues with both water and sewer, and those would need to be reserved or refined before the full use of regional commercial would be allowed. And so it's a 10-year agreement that would restrict them to uses until or unless they can satisfy water and sewer connections to the city. It gives them the ability to use that site for essentially mercantile uses, but it restricts them from some of the higher intensity uses that you'd find in a normal regional commercial, along a highway, for example. So the development agreement is simply to do that two things, just to reflect the less intense use for a period of time, and that less intense use is because water and sewer in this interim period will be provided by well and septic, even though it's within the urban growth area, until Spangle is able to connect them up to their municipal system. We did review this with Spangle for their comments, and one of the questions we asked is, would you prefer a neighborhood commercial restriction as opposed to a community commercial restriction? There is very little difference between the two in the zoning code, except the community commercial allows for RV parks and neighborhood commercial does not. And our concern with the city is, are you aware that this distinction is there, both from a positive and a negative? If it's used for some RV purposes, RV users buy groceries, they buy gas, so there's a potential revenues generation for that, in addition to the other uses on there, and they agreed to the community commercial. So Spangle has essentially checked off on the development.
So is it within the city of Spangle or?
No, it's within their urban growth area. It's outside of their city limit, but within their urban growth area.
Who did you talk to at the city?
Sorry?
Who did you speak with at the city?
The clerk and the mayor, and we had this before their city council for a discussion a couple of months, 3 or 4 months ago. April. It has been before their electeds.
Does this meet our, I guess, as we're looking with the comp plan amendments changes? It's all of that.
Yeah, it's
an island, and I know it's already in the UGA then.
It does have a little bit of a complication because the rural parts of the urban growth areas in towns, Spangle included, will be de-designated because they haven't grown and they have to be urban zoning. What we'll have to do with this is one of two things, either link the parcels. And by the way, right now, this is a single parcel that extends both outside of the UGA and inside the UGA. So there'll be a boundary line adjustment to ultimately put this together. Since it touches the city, it could exist as sort of that flag or tomahawk shape, and then the rest of that UGA could go away. Another option that we'll explore with Spangle and with Commerce is whether the area between the highway and the project, that smaller southeast or sorry, southwest portion of the UGA would remain in some UGA capacity. We don't think that's warranted, but we'll check with Commerce on that as well. And the reason it's not warranted for Spangle is, while you can't see it on this map, Spangle, with the county's help a few years ago, adopted a subdivision that's 190 lots within their city limit. So they have the ability to capture their 20-year growth already within their boundaries. So their UGA is at the moment superfluous and is not supported by GMA.
Because I think that's what I knew, but I don't know about.
So this will be attached to them. It will stay in UGA presumably until the city can serve it by sewer and water, at which time they would have the option to annex it for their internal use.
This has gone through the planning commission.
Yes. Well, the DA has not, but the conditions of the DA were established during the time of the comp plan amendment. The development agreement is a contract between the landowner and the board. And the planning commission doesn't weigh in on that. The process will be, if to move this forward, the board would hold its own public hearing on this with a 14-day notice, and we will notice that, so it'll be out at least 2 or 3 weeks on your consent. But not, I'm sorry, it'll be on your legislative calendar for a public hearing.
Based on the briefing sheet, it looks like they wanna, I mean, essentially they wanna put in a farmer's market there.
Correct.
And kind of in its most simplest terms, I mean, it just says provide services, retail offerings such as agricultural supplies, local meats, dairy products, and similar products and services. And then over time, dog park, greenhouse, educational buildings.
Correct. And what they've proposed, again, we have some, trust but verify. Those uses are allowed within those commercial zones, and they fit that mercantile idea for a small town in the middle of the county. So Spangle was supportive of it, and county planning sees no reason not to.
This was sent out in the packet. This was sent out this morning. This.
The map was just put up for reference. It was not in your packets.
Okay.
I'm sorry. If you'd like a
The briefing sheet is in our packet.
Right, I just didn't see the map and I didn't know if I missed it somewhere.
We can certainly add that. That's from the staff report on the comprehensive plan. Those would have been in your packet back in December of 24. But we can certainly send you a refresher.
You pulled it back out, okay.
Thank you, commissioners.
Mr. Michaud.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Mr. Valencia is going to pull up this very short presentation. While he's doing that, I'm Jim Amacio. I'm a Special Deputy Prosecuting Attorney. Mr. Folsom asked me to assist the board in processing this request from the Coeur d'Alene Tribe of Indians. The Board of County Commissioners has seen several of these requests over the past several years. We received one recently from the Kalispel Tribe. We've received recently one from the Spokane Tribe. This is the first application we have received from the Coeur d'Alene Tribe of Indians to transfer property which they own in fee to trust. And if you could please look at the presentation I've given you, it identifies the property in question, and it's located near Latah Creek, if you'll notice that on the map. The property consists of approximately 47.810 acres of property, and it was purchased by the Coeur d'Alene Tribe for a substantial amount of money. I believe it was almost $3 million. They'd like to convert the property from fee to trust. The board is very aware of this particular process. When property is transferred from fee to trust, the applicant, in this case, the Coeur d'Alene Tribe, files an application with the Bureau of Indian Affairs. The Bureau of Indian Affairs then sends out a letter to all affected agencies asking them to comment on the application consistent with the federal law. In this case, the parcel of property consisting of 48.710 acres is located in the city of Spokane. So not only does Spokane County get notice of the application, but also the city of Spokane did. Under the application process, an agency receiving notification has 30 days to provide certain information to the Bureau of Indian Affairs for their consideration in acting on the application. In this particular case, the county received the notice on June 30th. Because of the board's previous schedule, I requested an extension of 30 days. So the county commissioners have until April 30th to send a response letter to BIA. The letter the board received from BIA asked for the following information from the board. Number one, what amount of taxes are being lost if the property is put into trust? Number two, if the property is put into trust, how would it affect zoning for Spokane County? Number three, are there any special assessments which Spokane County has on the property? The letter which I prepared for the board's signature and consideration at your next legislative agenda is very similar to the letters which the board has sent to other applicants for a fee to trust transfer. Number one, it advises that approximately $617 is the amount of taxes Spokane County received in 2025 for these three parcels of property. As you're aware, if the property is put into trust, it will no longer be subject to paying property taxes. Number two, the letter that I prepared advises that the board has no special assessments on the property. I cannot speak for the city of Spokane. The letter which I prepared requests that they check with the city of Spokane. They may have special assessments on the property because it's located in their boundaries. The third issue I've talked about in the draft letter that we sent to them is there are certain regional services that Spokane County provides to all properties which are held by tribes in fee. They include law enforcement, indigent defense, and prosecution. And of course, if the property is accepted into trust, we will no longer receive property taxes. And those property taxes, as we're all aware, pay in part for these regional services. The final issue that they've asked about in our letter to response is how, if it's put into trust, this would affect Spokane County's land use. And in this regard, it's located in the city of Spokane, not in Spokane County. So the letter I prepared for the board defers to the city of Spokane consistency with the transfer of this piece of property from fee to trust. With respect to offsite properties, which this is, not located adjacent to this Coeur d'Alene Tribe's property, BIA gives substantial and great weight to the request by the Coeur d'Alene Tribe. The mere fact that we will lose real property taxes is not afforded much, if any, weight to BIA when it acts on the particular application. In 2025, the BIA modified its legislation, which they consider when they look at offsite non-contiguous property like this is. Before, under the old regulations, The farther the particular piece of property was located from the tribe's reservation, the more scrutiny they would give it. But as of January 1st, 2025, they modified that language, and now they afford great weight to any request by a tribe to convert property from fee to trust, regardless of its distance from the reservation in question. The request here today is to, number one, answer any of your questions, and number two, I provided the board with a draft letter, which I would have on the board's legislative consent agenda for next Tuesday, in which we would respond to the request, provide the necessary information, and then, of course, leave it in BIA's hands for a decision. I've tried to frame the letter similar to other letters the board has sent with regard to other fee to trust applications. For example, we always ask if they contribute to any necessary infrastructure. We always ask that they provide Spokane County with lost property taxes. But we know that they will not condition it in that regard, but I always put that in the letter, making that request, recognizing that we hope to work very cooperatively with the Spokane tribe, like we work with other Indian nations, to address those concerns should they come up in the future. One further thing, this particular request, when they make a request to change property from fee to trust, they always have to specifically, if you will, identify what they're going to use the property for. And in this particular case, in their application, they specifically indicated that they're going to use this property necessary to meet mitigation measures with regard to other properties which they develop. Their long-term use may be a fish hatchery, because this property is located near Latah Creek, and they'd like to connect Latah Creek to the Spokane River someplace down the road. Does the board have any questions which they'd like me to answer in conjunction with this request?
Kind of, it is what it is, as we know with other properties and the tribes are doing this. And I think they bought it with the intent of, I think, the fish hatchery to try to help their at Latah Creek. It's still.
Yes, Madam Chair, you're correct. The Indian Reorganization Act recognizes these sovereign nations and has provided a mechanism where they can change property fee to trust so they can be more economically independent, which is a very laudable purpose. So I prepared the letter, pardon me.
I found one little typo I'll share with you
Oh,
later.
perfect, good. Typos are good, thank you, Commissioner. If there are no other questions then, Madam Chair, I'll place this on next Tuesday's legislative consent agenda so we can get it back to them by the August 30th date. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Heather.
There you go.
Good morning. We're here to give you an update on opioid settlements and where we're at with some of our projects. So we have our first 5 settlements are through. So I've just given you kind of highlight there of what settlements we've already received, how much has been paid to date, how long they'll be paid out. Each one has a different payment schedule. Some are 18 years, some we only receive a single payment, so on and so forth. So go to the next page. That's continuation of Kroger and McKinsley, which were the last two. So now we have 2 more rounds of settlements. The next 2 are Purdue Sackler, which is together. And then we have the next group of 8, which are Alvogen, Apex, Icama, Sun, Zydus, Amneal, Diver, and Mylan. We have received the settlement and participation forms for the Purdue Sackler. We are expected to receive the settlement participation forms for the rest of them by the end of the month. We have received our estimated amount of dollars that we will receive for the life, as well as a estimated payment schedule on both of those. For the larger group, total, they will bring in around 346,000. And payments will be paid out. Most of them will be a single payout. We have a few that will be paid out over a couple of years. For Purdue Sackler, we're about just shy of 2.5 million. Those payments will be paid over 16 years, beginning this year and ending in 2040. And those are the participation forms we have now. We will have a resolution before you guys for next week to approve those participation and settlement forms. Very similar to everything we've received before. We'll comply with the One Washington MOU, use it as we have used all the other settlement dollars. So I have a resolution for you guys next week. In total, these 2 settlements will result in about an additional 2.8 to Spokane County. And we should have, like I said, all of those by the end of next month. So our projects to date in 2024, you guys approved a $5 million one-time payment for the expansion of the crisis stabilization, and then $200 annually in operating costs once we're operational. We did $600,000 to Maddie's Place, expansion of the sobering and triage services, which was 1.2, and then some money to the sheriff's office for the opioid overdose tracking, which is $200,000 annually. 2025, we have the walk-in mat treatment at $400,000 annually, expanded stat at $250,000, and then just weeks ago, you guys did the EHU unit additional funds, $600,000 for staffing and $140,000 for the vehicles. We do have on our tracking sheet obligating approximately $1 million to direct OAC costs for Justin's team to administer the OAC, and then as well as 10% administrative cost to the county of $2 million. So currently we have about 1.76 that's unobligated to date through the life of the award. We've spent just shy of 1.9 million to date through the entire list of projects. This tracking sheet, although very tiny and hard to read, just is our overall tracking. The settlement, the new settlements for Purdue and all the additional ones, those are estimated payments, but they were provided by the attorney's office and the settlement administrator as what they estimated our payment schedule would be. Any questions?
I was gonna ask if you can send us that spreadsheet, so.
Yes. Absolutely. Where you can actually read it.
Yeah, it's condensed and all of that. Just so we can see, what we do have planned out. I mean, because it is hard there. You know, because I'm on the 2025 projects, the walk-in mat. Where's that going?
Yeah, so we've been in conversation with SRHD with their decision to utilizing some of the reserves to expand services. We're under evaluation to determine what other needs may be present, so as they work to expand it, we're still in talks with them. However, we've been able to meet the walk-in mat treatment needs through our existing partnership with STARS and Multicare. So all individuals who need the mat treatment as part of that can be done on site. So we've already achieved that. Now the city and is still looking at partnering in some way. So the question now as we look forward, is it best to continue the way with SRHD, do two parts with either SRHD or with Multicare? But either way, at least for the county's committed funds, we have already achieved the walk-in with our existing project, which is kind of a 2-for-1. So now the question is, how do we best utilize that in conjunction with our existing project? So it might be that we continue to evaluate better, long-term and more economical if we just expand on our STARS Multicare partnership.
Yeah, for the MAP program.
Correct. Until we get better information from SRHD on what the exact needs are. We need to see a little bit more data from them on, is this expanded or can they meet the needs based on their existing funding situation? And with 1813, we're also looking at additional needs that the crisis system may require and how we can better leverage that. So it is not left one of the priority gap areas, and it certainly is an area we'll continue to explore. But I think being prudent is evaluated what the needs are before we proceed forward with just allocating funds.
Right.
And the city is still indicating they're committing observation and review with us because they still want those funds to go towards MAP treatment, and they don't want to, and the ILA is still there, so they don't want to lose that partnership. And I told them we're pausing for now and we'll come back and convene once we have more information.
So you've used these funds now, instead of the regional health district, you've used these funds to then expand with STARS.
We have
and
not.
Multicare.
So with the MAP funds that the board approved, we actually haven't touched those. We're just using the funds you've already approved to expand out services under that contract.
So.
And then,
But we're getting help, we're helping more people.
yes,
And we were.
and we're not funding that. The individual's insurance paid through Multicare. So again, more economical because we get them into services connected and then Multicare then bills their insurance for that treatment service side. And we don't have to cover that. Now, the question is what non-Medicaid individuals, as we see Medicaid roles begin intervention, may need to be covered. And that's where I say more evaluations needed.
So when you have projects listed here, we haven't actually spent, I know we signed the contract for the BHU unit. Or, I mean, the board here has said that we'll use those funds for the BHU units. But those, so we haven't signed contracts then for MAT treatment or staff or.
We have the contract with staff in place.
Okay, but the MAT treatment is still TBD.
That's the only one that is being paused because of the work that the health board deciding what pathway to go on that. So they are expanding on services.
At the health board, we've already approved a plan for 1 year to use existing funds to expand. And then, a year from this, November, so at the end of 26, we'll know how many more people were served with those funds and whether or not they were able to recoup from Medicaid, or to your point, there may be more need to fill in gaps if the structure changes for Medicaid reimbursement for different patients, right? So my thought is, one of the things that I keep hearing in the community around, clearing people to be able to access treatment or is that STARS, have they been able to hire someone on staff that can do the work that would happen in an emergency room? Where if somebody needs to detox and then they want to enter a treatment, if they want to get medically assisted treatment, don't they have to go through some sort of exam medically to be cleared to do that?
So
I'm just wondering, could those funds be used to help STARS hire somebody so that we don't send people to the emergency room to get cleared for treatment?
So I think there's two ways to look at that. Could they hire somebody and expand out medical clearance? Absolutely. And in fact, their current model, the 3.2 medically managed withdrawal management, the ASAM, Nation Medicine, that oversees those levels of care, is changing. So it's all going to go to a medically managed 3.7. That's where it's headed. 2028 is where the state moves it down. That will incorporate that aspect. All individuals will be able to be medically monitored and have a very unique set of criteria to allow them in, even if they do have some compromised medical status, they can be cleared. Technically, any facility could do that on site. The reason they default to the ER to medically clear them, which is what I think they will continue to do, is they take the liability if they accept them in, even though they could. So even if they hired someone, you may still see them doing a medical clearance for cases where comorbidities or other medical complications exist. So right now, their partnership with Multicare allows them to address the opioid use so they can get medication. And that's one of the biggest worries is they're withdrawing or they're not on the correct medication. They can do that on site. The medical compromise piece, even if we hired someone, I don't believe as part of their protocols they have in place right now, they could do that simply because they don't have the bandwidth with additional medical staff to monitor them. They have staff that are milieu monitoring. These are usually payroll techs. To have a medical provider, you would also need the nurses, other staff to medically monitor them if they have that corresponding medical compromise state. That's the aspect where you can't just hire one. It's a whole host for 24 hours. And that's where I'm saying you may still see them do medical clearance. Now, the goal is not to expand out STARS, but the Crisis Relief and Sobering Center will have that incorporated.
That was my next question.
Exactly. And that's why we're building this new model with a new facility that will specifically address that. Because there isn't a facility that wants to take on that liability, the county stepped forward to do this and we incorporated that. And we actually, Mike can attest to this, we've been looking at having a separate section for medical component built in and even having possibly a teaching clinic. So that's all incorporated. I would, because 2028 is when the new ASAM goes in effect, I think that's when all the providers will probably defer and take on that liability, because that's when the state will actually enforce the 3.7 incorporating medical managed care model. So what I'm saying is, even though we did it now, you still may see them defer it until the state requires it. By that time, we'll have the Crisis Relief and Sobering Center up and running. It makes more sense just to have it incorporated and plan for that eventuality and work with the hospitals to have a better agreement for transfer. So if they get medically cleared, immediately transfer them down in a quicker route, so they're not taking up too much time or space where it may not be necessary. I think that's what we're trying to do now. And the partnerships between STARS and the hospital do exist for that.
Track sheet is the whole thing. It'd be good to get it like in one, because it kind of reads into multiple pages, but if I'm reading it, if I'm scrolling down, is it accurate that the total expected that we know of right now, it's like 29 million?
Correct.
Okay.
Once all payments are received from all of the currently known settlements, that's about 29 million
Until
over the
2040.
life through 2040.
So given that, I see the list of projects, I see the bolded number of 1.76 unobligated. Help me understand the math there. I'm assuming that math assumes that like 400,000 annually for walk-in mat OUD would be 400,000 a year, even though we're saying we've got some real uncertainty around that. Same
Correct,
thing
it's-
with stat, same thing with everything that's annual is treated as annually. for
Correct, it's
purposes
all
of
built
that.
in, plus the annual cost for Justin's OAC team.
Yeah.
The county admin, any one-time costs that we built in, so we have obligated either through one-time or annual ongoing, about 27.4 million.
Okay.
Which includes the sheriff's.
Which includes all of the sheriff's stuff, yes.
But your realized actuals for some of these might be slightly higher because, for example, the admin for our OAC, we actually have only utilized, I think, maybe 5% of the allocated amount. We've offset it with some of the state funds that we receive on the ASO side. And so although we are now shifting that because there's less state funding, we were able to offset the last almost year with other funds to support the administrative work, freeing up more dollars available for the county. But again, we don't know what that work may look in the future, why that remains needs to be allocated for administrative work.
So if everything that's been committed by the board and obligated by the board is utilized, right now, there's about 1.76 million available for committing to other projects or efforts. That's again, if all these things are utilized as the board, to the extent that the board has committed the dollars. So if the map doesn't happen for a couple of years or happens something differently, those dollar amounts go up, but this would just show you kind of as a place in time. And if all of the admin costs are utilized at full extent, those are all presumed in here.
So it would be like 1.7. You're saying per year?
No.
Is unobligated?
Total.
Total.
Meaning expected to be received.
But we haven't actually committed to ongoing annual through 2040 in our decisions, the board, right?
It assumes you have.
Really? Okay.
Unless.
All of the things that we've funded so far.
It assumes unless the board says otherwise, so you
Okay.
understand if you wanted to continue those. Most of the projects are gap areas where there isn't other funds available or may be difficult to fund if they were unfunded by the county. Now, some of these, like the STARS project, the STAT, assumes that when the Crisis Relief Sobering Center comes on board, we transition the funds, and that still has yet to be for the board to decide. So we assume that money is encumbered in case you go that route. The board can choose in 2 years to do something totally different. The idea here was, I think, to ensure that you knew what wasn't encumbered if you decided that you wanted to just direct that towards something else, but ultimately decision to be made by the board to not continue your projects. And that would free up more dollars.
The only thing with an annual limit right now is the sheriff's VHU staffing, which was specifically stated to be 2 years.
So yes, you still have
So
flexibility.
you've taken that 400, even though we haven't invested it yet, 400 times however many years.
Correct.
Is the math you're doing, okay.
And with the ILA with the city, they also have $400,000 slated
So there's 800 in the community.
for
Or that, or if we don't need to put that into, we can put it somewhere else.
Correct.
But we'd have to have a discussion and redo that ILA.
Correct.
Okay. And then.
So 2.9 of new settlement dollars is this presentation today. I'd say, all the different things, all the different settlements, the different what's the total number over the total period that we're expecting Spokane County gets? And then how much for the region? Because I know each of the cities get different amounts. I think the city of Spokane gets the most, the valley, I think it's a pretty relatively small amount, but how much over the whole span of these settlements are we estimating Spokane County, and then how much regionally?
Spokane County alone, total with all the settlements will be just shy of 29.2 million.
Okay, 29.2. And then regionally, do we?
I have not tracked the regional amount for the other.
Do we know city of Spokane being the second biggest? Do we know ballpark where they're at?
We could.
They would be at least where we are.
Yeah.
No, they're a little bit less.
I think they get 70%.
Yeah, I want to say the math on this one was the county and the jurisdiction was receiving around 10% of that. Spokane County was getting about 5.6%. City of Spokane was like 3.7%. So I could do some quick math here, but I would say probably for the entire, our region, it's probably in the less than probably $50 million range, I would say. That would just be my quick ballpark.
Yeah, Food Valley.
And that's even the other counties as well.
I know early on, the city of the valley thought they were talking like less than 30,000, wasn't it? Wasn't it somewhere in the 20s?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Those have also, as we've gotten more settlements, our numbers were originally thought to be 17 million.
Yeah.
If I remember right, way early on, and now we're up to 29. So all the jurisdictions would have seen some increasing amounts for them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
At what point, I know we can take the admin costs for good purposes. At what point in time would you expect having knowledge of the ability to direct some of those to programs? If we're underspending on the admin and the OAC admin costs, you were saying that we may have an ability to redirect some of those to the treatment side if it's not needed for that. And so at what stage would that be part of your thought process?
Well, this is where I'd have to get legal to determine if the OAC admin can be reimbursed. I think it can be, and we should know by the end of the year. But that's a smaller pie. The 10% admin is being utilized not only for the Crisis Relief Sobering Center project, but by legal and by other departments. That one is a little more tricky.
Gotcha.
I don't think we'll know an estimate. I'm gonna defer to Jeff's department on this one, maybe towards the end of the year.
Probably annually, we'll have to do a, hey, now this is what we've actually spent on indirects. And then what now frees up that we may have expected versus actual. It's probably gonna be an annual sort of adjustment, I would expect.
Just a question on the sheriff's office overdose tracking. Is that, who's doing that, and is that kind of being coordinated with the OAC, or where's that information going? Is it just kind of a law enforcement function within their office, or is it somehow the tracking and the data that they gather being shared with your office? I'm just wondering if there's a coordination there, or if it's truly kind of for the sheriff's office as a law enforcement strategy.
Right now, it's primarily with law enforcement. I know that they provide the data in conjunction with the health district and our department, but for the purposes of what they're tracking and what we're tracking, we're doing the treatment services side, and they're looking at the impact of drug involvement and engagement within the individuals in the community. We're still determining the best way to communicate that data so that we can talk in that way, because when they interact, doesn't necessarily mean that a one-to-one, those individuals go to treatment. But it does inform how we direct the funds toward treatment, right? More preventative services, probably what we're indicating than it is about long-term treatment services. So that's how we're using it. But for the community, it's best joint with the health district and the medical examiner, because it paints a better picture of what we're actually experiencing in the community. So in that way, it's primarily law enforcement, but we do hope to incorporate more in a regional look. That's the goal. And for phase 3, I know there's a lot of different phases going on. We still have not identified those. We're still working on our phase 1 and phase 2 projects. So as we look towards 2026, that's when we'll probably approach the board for a phase 3 look at what is the needs. We've already been working on this for 2 to 3 years, and we need to take a moment, look at the data, and then come back to the board with recommendations. I think as of now, the board has committed quite a bit of funds and have been very transparent in the region on how we're using those funds. And now it's looking at how has that been effective, and we can demonstrate the effectiveness, especially of our staff program. Question then is, do we reinvest in those, continue that work, or do we look at other or new projects? That will be more of a 2026. So just giving you guys a heads up on the future. We do not have any kind of I always have prospects, but we don't want to put anything forward yet. Is that a good look at longevity of funding, the impact of the current federal and state funding cuts, and what is the best use based on the data? Thank you.
Send the chart.
Yes, I will.
Okay, thank you. Good.
At the board's request, we drafted a resolution, so the board does not have to ask for the stamp every time one of the commissioners attends the meeting remotely.
the stamp can replace the ink signature when you attend the meeting remotely. If this resolution is passed, it will be on the next legislative consent agenda.
You know, we've just seen a lot of controversy around the auto pen in the last administration, and I just don't want to see us go down.
Auto pen is not anywhere in this resolution, but there is a presumption that if your vote is memorialized in the open public meeting, that your authorization of the stamp can replace your wet ink signature.
Okay, so we will actually have processes in place to make sure it's not abused. Okay, then I can support it.
You'll have Ron.
Yeah.
Keep your stamp.
Okay, but I must verbalize the I or the, you know, or a thumbs up or something, you know.
That is the
indicate my
triggering
support.
mechanism to
Okay.
use the.
Okay. Ron does not have just carte blanche where he can just go stamp whatever he wants without direction. Okay.
Not.
Okay.
All right.
I have no further comment.
Exactly.
So you guys just really didn't have to go to all this trouble just because I'm not there. I mean, I would have been okay.
All about Al.
It doesn't come into
Amen.
effect next week, so we gotta make sure I ask today.
You still have to ask today.
There you go. Okay, Pat.
So just under miscellaneous, we sent out a media advisory. We'll have a photo of Ms. C for this afternoon along with the needlework. And I know there's media that will be attending, the photographer to take a picture of the presentation or the ceremonial photo that we get. A quick update on some media. Obviously, there was a lot of great coverage on passage of the APA, renewal and expansion. There's been some interviews surrounding healthcare, and I'll leave it at that. Information was provided to KPBX about the city and the county and the status of some unpaid bills. Similar information was provided to the Center Square. They had very similar requests that they filed with us. The red dye test in the river, it seems to be successful. Media covered that. It was front page in the paper about testing the effluent. We had follow-up interviews around the sewer breakage line and country homes. Pretty much every station covered that in depth. We did have some requests about scraps and the hiring process there. And so that again was pretty much every station had requests and those were fulfilled. Scott fielded a number of those. A lot of interest in the primary election, working with the auditor's office on that, pretty standard type stuff. I also wanted to thank the commissioners and staff that attended the media event that we held at Upriver Dam, which was a really neat tour. I know we had some social media posts from that as well. And my team will be working on kind of an after action report for you on the success of the education effort, just some key stats, how many videos were viewed, that kind of stuff.
Question, do we end up sending out a mailer?
Yes,
Okay,
we did. The city did an insert, we did an insert.
okay,
And the mailer went to everyone except for the city residents.
okay, that's why I was like, I didn't get a mailer.
The city felt that the utility insert was normal and regular, but a mailer was not. But I think it had the same effect.
Okay,
You got the mailer. Okay, so unincorporated county residents got the mailer.
okay, I wasn't sure if we were.
If they're in the ADA.
If they're in the
Yes.
APA.
It's on the mailer in Liberty Lake. Not the postcard.
Always nice to hear that the mail was received
Good.
before the election. There was an interview on some public works projects, and I'll touch base on that. Some interest in Hatch Road, phase 2. Just wanted some key details on what that's about. So, reporter had seen some signs, I think, going up. And then, of course, we'll continue our weekly updates on county road construction and maintenance projects. If any of those affect your district, just get with Martha Lou, or if you're getting questions, she can help be a go-between public works to get you talking points. And coming up, we have Spokane County Spotlight. Commissioner Chris Jordan will be interviewing some guests and on some topics that we discussed today. We have State of the County and then ongoing social media posts. Just a quick little communications update for you. Would also mention with State of the County, we are in the midst of drafting the speech and the presentation. The chair had called previously for any ideas or things that you want to see highlighted, I think we can provide a brief outline of what will be in the speech. I want to save the sizzle for the actual day of the event.
Is there any updates on, we're all set for the council of governments meeting?
Yes, we have, with the help of everyone, I think it's like 5 agenda topics. STA, and their double decker buses, the double decker bus there. I'm just trying to.
And they just want to know what time you want that. That was, I said as we got closer, we'd narrow down
Yeah.
the window of time for them to be there. So
Yes.
they're still waiting for that. They know the date sometime in the morning, but they just, as we get closer, we need to tell them what time we want them to have
Okay.
there.
Yeah, because I haven't set the timing out later. Let's see, there's that. What's the other ones you had? 'Cause I had
Dr. Singh.
Dr. Zhang and
Dave.
Dr. B.
Yeah.
To talk about his task force versus the death rates are.
Yep.
You had talked about continentals.
Oh, yeah, Chesney giving an update.
Scott Chesney.
On the content plan. And then you had talked about Knowles, I think. Talking about you.
Emily
Yeah.
Campbell.
Emily.
Oh, Emily, not.
On the Health and Safety Committee, and then School District 81 on Spokane School District on their ballot measure. So those are the 5 topics. We have like an hour and a half to 2 hours, which that will fill pretty much that, and then hopefully have time to do individual updates from cities if we have time available. So, Mr. French?
Yeah, just a suggestion, you might want to also consider adding the Camas Park opening, because that will be within a month of the state of the county. Camas Meadows.
Yes, no, I think it is in there, so it is in the state of the
Okay.
county, so thank you. And then if we have a new airport director at that time, we may want to announce him at the council of governments and him or her.
Yep.
At the council of governments and at the state of the county as well. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
My
Status
guess is
time.
I'm very optimistic.
Okay. Very good, because that was one of the other things, I want to make sure I announce Carl is the new executive director for STA at the state of the county as well. Just not a lot of opportunities to in front of a big crowd to announce the new leadership.
Thank you for all your work. Put it
Yeah.
together and just keep our staffs aware of any help that's needed.
I
Thank
will-
you to you and Brenda.
Yes, I will let Brenda know to keep reaching out if she needs it, but just getting the agenda kind of figured out.
I think it's a great agenda.
Goodness.
I think it's good. And a lot of times we'd have Fairchild kind of give an update, and we ask Charlie about that just to. Okay. Anything else under miscellaneous? Yeah,
Bringing back the.
or yeah.
Where could you guys go? These are just the updated timeline for budget presentations. Took yesterday's comments into impact.
Colors.
The yellow boxes are the ones that had kind of the more changes. We shortened everybody's time frame to put just some budget staff commissioner time at the end of each meeting. We added on the 4 public meetings. And just wanted your blessing for us to start reaching out to contact people, and hopefully. That's what we're saying. We also had a DEM back in with the civil service sheriff timeframe. They've been here once, but their budget has. They've had exceptional constraints, so it'll be worth putting that in that conversation. Everybody get it.
looks good, just scanning it.
Yeah.
Nothing jumps out at me, is you fix something.
You read it later and find something, just let us know. But we close enough to start calling people and doing some day-to-day, some people's.
I do think, and I need to follow up with you on this, the health district was wondering. Maybe they wanted to come and present earlier, so that as we're doing our health district budget. They have a sense of where the board is at in terms of our contribution, so I think that they wanna come. Even like as early as September 8th. So can I follow up with you on that? Sorry, I didn't see that yesterday when we were going through it, but I'll talk to
Actually
Commissioner.
called them out today, yesterday.
Oh, so that's why I didn't notice it. Okay, good. It wasn't just me. But I'll connect with Commissioner Kinney today because she's the budget chair for the health district. And I think Dave's proposed kind of a schedule for us to work through our budget. So we may want to move up the health district to September. So I'll check in with you about that. I wanted to go through that budget timeline with you and see what you thought. Okay.
So we hear back on that one and we'll start calling others and we'll reserve on the 8th.
Yeah, and I would just let them know it could be subject to change, but this is the
Standard.
the draft at this point. And just to start to get pushing.
Draft and was history.
Yeah. Okay, so that's gonna take us to.
Exacts.
Yep.
Three executive session items this morning, one this afternoon. We'll cover that one this afternoon, but it'll be approximately 45 minutes this afternoon. We're gonna try to do it this morning. Okay, we've got 4 executive session items this morning.
Okay, just 1 second. Commissioner French?
Just as a miscellaneous item, what's the status on the requested letter for the school district and the whole Vista thing? Is that now falling off the table, or are we moving forward, or where are we at on that, just so that I can accurately communicate what we're doing?
If I recall, 2 weeks ago, it was a little bit short notice that they came in and presented. They were asking for us to endorse a project on a ballot measure, and we pulled that off of the agenda because there were some PDC compliance concerns. And it sounds like the timeline of that project is 3 years out rather than an immediate need. So I wasn't really sure where the board was with that.
Yeah, I was aware of the PDC concern. I was, like I said, initially, when they submitted a letter, that it was a letter that I couldn't sign. I mean, in concept, I thought it reflected a path forward, but with way too much information in the letter, and I saw the PDC complaints right away and stuff. So all I'm looking for is just what should I communicate to them in terms of going forward? Is it a discussion item? Is it off the table? That's all I'm looking for so that I can respond to them. I mean, I've got a couple calls from them already, and I just didn't want to return the call until I knew what to tell them.
Go ahead.
So I can say I had a meeting with Mr. Betts, and as I told him, I'm happy if we have just a very simple letter saying we're willing to, continue to look at the possibility of this. I mean, I'm happy to do that with a study, but we would not be contributing to that study because we don't have the funds to do that. And he knew he was looking for other funding sources for the study, but I'm happy to give a letter saying if the county is willing to entertain, just having this as a future discussion, if that's what Mr. Swinyard needed. To talk about it, but there's no commitment that we can provide at this point in time.
Yeah, and that's consistent with what I've said, and I've told them that, the only thing we have in our wallet is moss. There is no money, and that it would be more of a partnership. That was the extent to which we were contributing to and stuff. So, well, I will circle back with them and just say that we continue to have dialogue, and when we got certainty around what we can and cannot do, then we'll get back to them.
And is there any, I agree with your comments and made sense why it needed to be put on pause to make sure it had been fully reviewed, but I don't see any reason why we could get back to the drafting of the letter process and maybe have legal work with the school district or whoever the right point people are and just get her done, but make sure it's obviously been cleared through legal.
Right. And then it's just, we're willing to continue to
Explore.
explore the option. I'm fine with that.
We will finalize a letter saying we aren't committing to anything and willing to continue the discussion and explore the option.
Very good. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Back to the 4 executive sessions this morning, four
now.
We're trying to fit them all in this morning.
Okay, let's do it.
The first one is pending and potential litigation, 20 minutes, no action. Scott Simmons, Matt Olson, Jasper Coulter, Matt Zarenfor, Matt Bell, Brandy Collier, and Megan Clark. Second one is under RCW 4230-110-1A2 regarding information technology infrastructure. Matt Folsom, Scott Simmons, and Kevin Norris. No action. Sean Dimitrovich and Jeff McMorris.
How long?
5 minutes.
Okay.
Number 3, pending and potential litigation, 10 minutes, no action. Scott Simmons, Matt Folsom, Devin Kurta, Jeff McMorris, Summer Rife, Ashley Cloud. And the last one, pending and potential litigation, 45 minutes, no action. Matt Folsom, Scott Simmons, Devin Kurta, Jeff McMorris.
Okay. So. We are going to go into just a second. Just figure out how much time that is.
An hour and 20 minutes.
An hour, we're gonna go into executive session for an hour and 20 minutes. So we will come out at 12:30, 12:40. No. 12:30, yeah, 12:50. So we anticipate to be out at 12:50. At the end of that executive session, since no action will be taken, we will adjourn for the morning and see everybody back by 2 o'clock.
There's Alan Zoom.
I think so.
I think so. It's here.